of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All of the Americans. I thank you, Lord, because there's the transitions happening. So, looking forward to that. Trustee.
So sorry about that. Housekeeping microphones, push button to activate.
There we go.
And
Little blue.
So the blue will come on. You're right. Thanks.
Okay, I'll do this one. All right. Thank you, Superintendent Welts. Trustees, any questions, comments, review of the agenda? All right, seeing none, now is the time for general public comment. Is there anyone here who plans on giving general public comment? Okay, I'll go ahead and let you know what that's all about. This is the time for comment on public matters that are not on the agenda. Just as a reminder, the public matters do not include any pending legal matters, private personnel issues, or private student issues. Please do not attempt to discuss such issue at this time or you will be ruled out of order. And just a reminder that the board is not able to enter into a back and forth discussion during general public comment. So if you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic, that would be great. And if you could state your relationship to the district, taxpayer, parent, grandparent, whatever that might be. And then if you could spell your name for Candace, our stenographer, and she will make sure and get that spelled correctly in the minutes.
K-U-R-T.
Welcome.
So I hope I'm not out of order. A portion of what I wanted to speak to is part of what's on the agenda. That's the recently failed mill levies. But with the board's indulgence, I'd like to speak briefly to the largely failed mill levies and the proposed closure of Hawthorne Elementary School.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
And the looming closure of additional neighborhood elementary schools. For me, these issues are intertwined. When you asked me what my circumstances were, I'm a parent of 3 daughters, all of whom attended Hawthorne Elementary School. I'm a voter and a taxpayer in Helena. My wife and I have lived in Helena for 28 years. Over that time, we have voted for all but 3 mill levies. Not coincidentally, all 3 were on this year's ballot. I'd like to look at the mill levies. There was the elementary general fund levy, $294,000. The elementary technology levy, $1.98 million per year for 10 years, or nearly $20 million in the aggregate. And the high school technology levy, $870,000 per year for 10 years, or $8.7 million. All told, voters were asked for $28.8 million, and $294,000 was forthcoming. That's 1%. So that should resonate with the board. As I understand it, the school district's website, the combined elementary and high school budgets, general budgets for 2023 and 2024 were $102 million. Is that figure roughly correct? Okay. So what was authorized is $294,000. So that's 0.3%. That's not even scarcely a rounding error. For my wife and I, the issue is not the aggregate amount of the levies, though they would have been substantial. The issue is one of priorities, and for us, our neighborhood schools are a priority. I think Tip O'Neill may have been correct that all politics, it turns out, is local. Had the proposed mill levies included hard and fast assurances that a portion of monies be committed to keeping our 9 neighborhood schools open, we would have done what we have done for 27 years, swallowed hard and filled in the ovals for the levies. I hope that the members of the board will bear these dynamics in mind, which I am sure drive the decisions of at least a portion of voters, and perhaps a necessary portion of voters, in their deliberations going forward.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person who would like to give public comment? Candace, do we have anyone online? Okay. Okay, I'll just, if you are online and you would like to give public comment, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. New business, items for action, canvas of election results and issue certificates of election. Janelle, are you going to, Nicholson, are you going to tee that up for us?
Okay, not that tall. Good evening. Before you, you have the election results for the May 6, 2025 election. The county elections office ran the election for us, and they provided the attached canvas report on May 16th, 2025. And highlights of that report are the total registered voters in the elementary school were 36,165. Total ballots issued were 36,165, and total ballots tabulated were 15,339, with a total voter turnout of 42.41. Total registered voters in the high school was 38,233. That number was, total ballots were issued at 38,233, and total ballots tabulated was 16,197, with a total voter turnout of 42.36. The election results were also provided by the county, and highlights of those are Kay Satry, Siobhan Hathorn, and Jenny Murnane. Am I saying that right?
Saying that correctly, Murnane?
Murnane
Okay, thank you.
Butcher received the most votes for the 3 vacant K-12 seats, with Kay Satry receiving 7,789 votes, or 24.04% of the votes. Siobhan Hathorn received 6,808 votes, or 21.01% of the votes, and Jenny Murnane Butcher, I still didn't get it right. Murnane.
We better
Get rid of that E.
Get it wrong.
Jenny Murnane Butcher receiving 6,682 votes, or 20.62% of the votes. The elementary general fund levy proposition passed by a margin of 53.77%, with 8,132 voting for it and 6,993 against. The elementary technology levy proposition failed by a margin of 51.41%, with 7,385 voting for and 7,815 against. The high school technology levy proposition failed by a margin of 50.40%, with 7,955 voting for and 8,084 against. Unless you have questions on these results, Katrina Cheney, County Superintendent of Schools, is here to administer the oath of office.
We need to take action on those.
You take action
on those. Okay. All right. Board trustees, anyone have any questions for Ms. Nicholson? Okay. Do I have a motion? Or did you have a question?
No, I have a comment. We often talk about elections. It's not often that we get to see the inside of an election, particularly the integrity of the election. I want to note that 801 ballots were rejected. 42 no signature, 47 signature did not match, 712 were late for the election. So I just want to make sure everyone knows the system works, and also hopefully you can get your ballot in slightly sooner so that your voice is counted. But we don't talk about it, but I think it's important to know that the county city worked very hard to make sure Things are above board.
They do. They do a real good job.
Thank you.
And I was told that a whole tray of ballots came in the day after.
Oh, man. Yeah, that might be part of our messaging next year,
Yeah,
or our next election, I should say.
yeah.
Any other board questions or comments? Do I have a motion to canvass the election results for the elementary?
Chair Hathorn, I move, what do you say? I move to canvass the election results for the, is that right? And issue certificates of election in the elementary district.
Motion by trustee McKee. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by trustee Armstrong. Any further board comments before we vote? Are there any public comments before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5 to 0. Walsh is only in high school, so, all right. All right, moving along to canvass the election results and issue certificates of election for the high school. Any board, or are you going to tee this one up as well? Or we're ready to go? Yep. Okay. Any comments or questions by trustees? All right, do I have a motion?
Chair Hathorn, I move to canvass the election results and issue certificates of election in the high school district.
Motion by trustee McKee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Satry. Any further board comments or questions before we vote? Any public comments before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 6 to 0. Next up is the oath of office, correct?
Correct.
All right. Our County Superintendent of Schools, Katrina Cheney, will be here to swear our new trustees in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
You won.
Give it up a little. Is that better? All right. Good. How are you?
Good.
Happy to see you back again. She knows why.
Answers yes. If you work on
I got one more year. Thank you. She's my spelling bee pronouncer, and she does such a great job.
Very fun. The kids
Yeah.
are amazing.
It's a fun little February event that we have. So congratulations to all of you, and you may take your oath together. So if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. First of all, I'm honored to be here to do this, so thank you. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and the Constitution of the State of Montana,
and that I will discharge the duties
that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
And you may say, so help me God, if you'd like to. All right. Congratulations and a sincere thank you to all of you for many, many hours of volunteer service. Thanks. I'm part of the community and I appreciate you. Thanks. All right. If you three will come with me for just a moment, you'll need to come sign your sheets if you would. Sorry. Or we can do it later.
I'll have them sign and I'll just send.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
you. You bet. Thank you.
Get food on
All right. At this point, we're going to move to reorganizing the board. I was lucky enough to run through the prescribed nomination process, and we have a nomination for board chair per the trustees' recommendation for Jennifer McKee. So we will go ahead and take a vote on that, correct? Okay. Do I have a motion to move Jennifer McKee into the chair position?
Chair Hathorn, I move that we
have Jennifer McKee take the chair position.
Thank you, trustee Satcher. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by trustee Armstrong. Is there any board comment before we vote or questions for the chair, new chair, upcoming chair? Seeing none. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7. No,
6. In
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You voted? No. Wait, we can't though, because yes, we can. Yep, 7.
Just been sworn in.
Yeah. Okay. So Jennifer McKee will now take over as chair. So congratulations and good luck.
All right, well, this feels weird. Thank you, former chair.
6 or 7?
I did vote for myself.
I think she
That's
should vote
okay.
for herself, don't you?
6.
Or do you not vote for yourself? Maybe ask Janelle. Yep. Okay.
So 7.
All right,
on.
we'll move on to the appointment of vice chair, and I believe trustee Hathorn, you also had some.
Exactly.
in-
Yeah,
info.
I did the nomination process for the board and board chair and the vice chair at the same time. And the board is respectfully promoting Jennifer Walsh for the board vice chair.
Right, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the appointment of trustee Walsh for vice chair?
I so move that we appoint Jennifer Walsh as our vice chair.
Thank you, trustee Armstrong. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, is there any board comment or questions?
I actually do. I just want to say that trustee Walsh is our longest standing trustee. She wasn't fully aware because she does not represent the elementary district that she was eligible for board positions. She's very smart and very well spoken, and I'm really excited that she has an opportunity to serve in leadership.
Thank you. All right, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the motion passes 8-0.
8-0. No, it's 7.
7. So great. Yes, sorry, 7-0. My goodness gracious.
Harder to count than you think.
I know, it's way harder to count than you think. All right, it's a historic all Jennifer slate.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and we'll move on to the appointment of district clerk. I'm sure there was a lot of people in the running for that.
I did not do a formal nomination process, but I would like to put Janelle Mickelson forward as our clerk. So if you could ask for a motion too.
Oh, yes. Is there a motion to accept Janelle Nicholson for the district clerk?
I move that Janelle Mickelson is our clerk.
Thank you. And is there a second?
I will second.
Any board comment or questions?
I'm going to make a comment again.
I am too.
People all around the state, I'm lucky enough to serve also on the state board, the MTSBA, and Janelle's name comes up a lot. She's very, very well respected in this state. People come to her for advice and her experience, and I'm just so thankful that we have her on board here and that she also serves as the clerk for the board.
Thank you, Chair Hathorn, and I totally agree. I mean, we are so well served by Ms. Mickelson, both as the district clerk of the board and just our business manager, making sure that all of our numbers line up. It's not easy to get a lifetime of perfect audits, and but that's what Ms. Mickelson has done. So I'm very glad to see her carrying on. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, motion passes 7-0. All right, we'll move on to item number 2 on our action agenda, the copier lease contract. And I think, Gary, you've got
Mr. Meyer will.
Mr. Meyer. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chair McKee, members of the board. It's my pleasure to talk a little bit about the copier contract. Our lease agreement with our current copier provider services, Information Technology Corps, was expiring on June 30th of 2025. So we did an RFP, request for proposals, that was issued on April 1st. The proposals had to be submitted by April 30th. We received 2 proposals, one from ITC, PTC, our current vendor, and one from Selby's, a company out of Bozeman. The evaluation committee reviewed those proposals using the following criteria. We looked at their qualifications of each company. We looked at their overall pricing in the bid. We looked at their kind of the working relationship that we have with those companies, the quality of the equipment that they put forward, the equipment configurations that were listed in the proposal, and then the equipment specifications. So I'll call your attention just to a few of the considerations that we looked at here. You've got these in your summary as well. Both vendors we felt presented as highly qualified and competent. We met with them in person as well as reviewing their proposals. The quality of the equipment from both vendors was acceptable. They were within the range that we had suggested in our proposal, so we were pleased with that. We don't have any experience with Selby's as a company, but we felt that they presented well, and we were confident we could establish a good working relationship with them. Our relationship with our existing vendor, ITC, PTC, has been sometimes strained, but we felt like they proposed a new customer service arrangement that we think will address some of those strains that we've had and provide service faster for our staff and buildings. The pricing for Selby's was about 15% higher than the pricing for ITC and PTC. And then also the per copy price when you get to a certain amount was twice what it was for ITC, PTC. We would need to do less training with ITC and PTC because the copiers that we would be adopting are the same. So there wouldn't be basically the same interface. So our staff would have a pretty easy transition to using those copiers. And then as our current provider, the transition process with ITC, PTC, we felt would be a little bit smoother as a committee. So ultimately, our decision really came down to that pricing difference and the focus on the transition with the new copiers. And I'm pleased to recommend on behalf of the committee that we award the copier lease to Information Technology Corps, Pinion Technology Corps, for a 5-year term. Any other questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? I do have a question, actually, Mr. Meyer. How many copies do we make, and how many machines do we have? You don't have to have an exact number of copies.
The exact number of copies,
it has to be declining, I would imagine.
Yes, it's variable. It kind of varies from month to month a bit, but it's, in the order of hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
So it's a large number of copies. And we have, I think the number of machines is 48 spread across the district. So most of the smaller elementary buildings generally have one copier, up to the larger high schools like Capitol High, I believe, has 5. So it varies based on the size of the building and their position throughout the building. So yeah.
Okay.
And just a general comment, those copies are still controlled, if you would, right? So that it's
yes.
Yeah. If it's not a district that just runs the number up and
Oh, not at all. It's very much part of one of the requirements that's included in the request for proposals is that the copiers be equipped with the metering so that we can, bill those copies appropriately by building. So yeah, it's definitely something that's billed towards building budgets and at the district level. So copies that you make, we are aware of that cost, and it's something that we work on. We also work on communicating the need to reduce costs when we can with that. It's something that we've done quite a bit of work and training on over the last few years. Yep.
What is the final cost of the contract?
I don't have that in front of me at the moment, but
Okay.
I could get it if you'd like it.
I was just curious.
It goes by copier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the way that they set it up is that what we essentially end up looking at is the bottom line cost per copy,
I see.
which for the contract that we're accepting, the bottom line cost per copy is a little less than 1 cent. So that's how that works out. Yeah, for black and white copies. Yeah, color copies a little bit more expensive.
Mr. Armstrong.
Just in general, are we seeing an increase in the cost of the contract?
Yes, this
Which would not
contract.
surprise me.
Yes, it is a little bit more expensive than the previous contract, but
But not
I don't have a
significant.
percentage for you, but I wouldn't say that it's, dramatic.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, do I have a motion to award the copier lease contract as presented?
Chair McKee. I move that we award the copier lease contract to ITC PTC for a 5-year term.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right,
I second.
we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further board comment? All right, seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. McKay,
Sure.
our third item for action is the award of the workers' compensation contract. Tell us what you've learned.
Mr. McKay, you want to work your way up to the mic?
He's
Oh, he's already there. I didn't see you back there. Thanks, Jeff.
There we go.
You go.
All right. So I'm working off of the page that is about the third one from the back on your board packet. It's titled Award of Workers' Compensation Contract. The first block is the background. The district contract with its current workers' compensation carrier, Montana State Fund, expires June 30th, 2025. So our group conducted an RFP process, which was issued on February 3rd of this year with a submittal deadline of April 11th, 2025. We received proposals from two groups, Montana Schools Group Interlocal Authority, MSGIA, and Marsh McLennan Agency with Montana State Fund. The evaluation committee reviewed and rated the two proposals based on the following criteria. Our committee was comprised of Brooke Mahoney, myself, Carrie Mizell, Wynn Randall, and Janelle Mickelson. We evaluated the proposals based on the net cost of coverage, the experience and qualifications and references for those agencies, loss control services, and subjective fit. Working through the considerations, this is where I'll get a little more detailed. The proposals for 25-26 from premium proposal from MSGIA was, and I'm just going to round to numbers, it was about $350,000. Marsh McLennan Montana State Fund was $414,000. When we get into their dividend programs, they each have kind of a different kind of dividend program. MSGIA's program is based on a loss performance of considering the district itself. And then Marsh McLennan's dividend is provided to all members regardless of the loss performance. So it's kind of a pool dividend in my terms. So the dividend for MSGIA could be up to $25,000, and then the dividends we've received and from the incumbent Marsh McLennan for the last 3 years have been $66,000, $94,000, and to $99,000. So when we subtract numbers, that $350,000 minus 25 is $325 for MSGIA. The 414 minus 99, or pick a number near that for the last 2 years, you're in that $315,000 range for Montana State Fund, Marsh McLennan. The next bullet point is MSGIA and Marsh McLennan have a different rate for custodial. That was notable in our mind as a team because our custodian workers' compensation claims is highest in the custodian/maintenance category. So they are different calculations. The 585 for MSGIA and the 350 for Marsh McLennan State Fund. Both proposals were evaluated on several factors: the risk stability of rates across the network, flexibility. Both vendors demonstrated a strong net position and stability across their network. They're both quality agencies. They're very strong competitors. MSGIA is completely school focused, where Marsh McLennan has school focus along with expertise in industry standards across that network. We have no transition period with Marsh McLennan because they're the incumbent. And then ultimately, the committee felt that both vendors were competent. The numbers were close. Marsh McLennan slightly ahead. After careful consideration, the evaluation committee
very experienced group, want to and recommend continuing the relationship with Marsh McLennan Agency and State Fund. So that's why the superintendent's recommendation is to continue with that group.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Are there any questions from the board? I do have one question.
Yep.
Could you explain how does the dividend process work? That comes at the end? After you've paid your premium for the year, then the dividend comes at the end?
Yep, I might need some help from Janelle on this, especially if I get it wrong. She'll correct me. I think in the proposal for MSGIA, it was up to $25,000 up front. And then Marsh McLennan, you get a dividend check from the year last year, the next year.
Okay.
If that's what you mean. Is that right, Janelle? So yeah, maybe it's not, might, like if it's lost performance, that might come at the end of the year at 25. So it's probably after the program year for both of them.
Okay. And we've had, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in. Trustee Armstrong.
Thank you. So I've got like, Marsh McLennan is, I think, 64,000 more. Is that correct? But the dividend is
Greater.
likely to be $75,000 back. And then you said that, the custodial rate was higher with MSGIA. Do you know how much we spend? That's our significant, do we have numbers on what portion of workman's comp goes to that?
We
category.
could, it's all wrapped in a premium package. So when they give you the bid, they have the cost of each one associated with it.
So we don't track that. The insurer tracks that.
We get copies of that too.
Okay.
They track, we get it.
Okay. But you don't do it. They do that.
Yes.
Okay. But that is our highest. And it would make sense.
Right.
That is the highest group. Okay. I was just confirming that.
I had another follow-up question. So I'm not sure I understand how the dividends come back from both of the applicants for the, what is it? MSGI. Did I get that right? Yes, MSGIA. It would be based on our actual experiences up to $25,000. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then with the state fund, it's the broader pool of all insureds. Is that how it comes back as
like
a
across
percentage of what you
Montana.
paid in?
Yep. The whole pool of state fund.
Okay. And our experience has been we get a refund back or a dividend
Yep.
back?
It's listed there at $66,000, $94,000, $99,000 most recently is our, so the most two recent, we work backwards. 99,000 is the recent. The year before that was 94,000. The year before that was 66,000.
Okay.
So then Ms. Armstrong, I think you said 75. I think it would have been more like 94 or 99.
I think the difference is what she's talking about.
Oh, you're talking about difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. McKay? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the workers' compensation contract as? Don't we do public comment after it's been moved?
Yes. Yep, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Do I have a motion to award the workers' compensation contract? No, we make the motion and then we have,
And then go public comment.
I move that we accept the recommendation as presented.
thank you, Chair Hathorn. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thank you. All right, is there any public comment?
Yes, there is.
Oh, excellent. Come on up and
Thank
tell
you.
us who you are.
My name is Sean Bubb. Last name is spelled B-U-B-B. I work for the MSGA. Thank you for allowing me to talk tonight. And the good work of the committee. The committee did a bunch of work on your behalf. They really asked all the hard questions of both the carriers. And as you can see, it was really close. Both of the carriers are extremely financially strong. We work with 6 of the 8 other AAs and 98% of the other public school districts in the state on this line of coverage for a really good reason. The pricing, as you saw, the MSGA's proposal came in $64,000 lower than the state funds. the selection committee worked through all of kind of the strengths of all the different carriers to a very deep degree, which was thoughtful, and I appreciated that. Really, it raised their understanding of how workers' compensation system is priced and how you can adjust it, how you can affect it as a school district. The one thing that I think impacted their recommendation, which I think will change your position tonight, is they just didn't fully understand that you've got two decisions in front of you. So one decision is to stay with what you're doing and stay with the state fund, and that has a path. And the other path is to come back to the MSGA. You've been gone for about 9 years. You were with us for about 25 years before that. But each of those decisions, and it hinges on the dividend. So if you look at the two proposals, we came out about $64,000 lower than the state fund. Committee looked at that and said, that's a plus. You could actually generate even more savings. So you could get a little bit more if you utilized our internal asbestos reinspection services and didn't pay for any of that work yourself. You got a big district, you have got a lot of buildings, you have a lot of asbestos to take care of. And so they looked at that and said, okay, that's another additional benefit. And then they said, well, you know, the state fund came in up here, but they also have issued some pretty consistent dividends over the last couple of years, very consistent, and some good sized numbers. As you heard, 60-something thousand, 90-something thousand, 90-something thousand. So when they took that into consideration, essentially it kind of normalized things. And they said, you know what, cost is about the same once we include that dividend if you opted for option A, which is stay with the state fund. And for that reason, we're going to recommend to do the same thing and stay where we're at. But what they didn't probably fully understand, and I think this is what changes the recommendation for your board and probably for the selection committee as well, is option A, you get the state fund's dividend, and option B, if you select the MSGA, you also get their dividend because you've earned that. So the dividends of the state fund, I worked there as their controller for a number of years and ran one of their tiers of their company, middle market tier. So if you're a policyholder for a 6-month window or more, in a window when they elect and award a dividend, you're entitled to that dividend. And so last fall, they issued what was reported a very nice dividend, which you got, which is awesome. And this fall, more likely than not, because they've been super consistent in how they've awarded dividends, they're going to award another dividend. And even if the district has moved to the MSGA, you're still going to get that dividend, which is awesome because you've got the $64,000 benefit on the MSGA and you would get to keep that dividend. Significant savings. And that doesn't stop there because you're going to have another year because you've participated during 25 as well. So if the subsequent year they issue another dividend, history tells you that they've been extremely consistent in issuing dividends, that they're going to issue another dividend in year 2 beyond the switch. You're going to get that too. And so if I stood before you tonight and I said, okay, I've been working in the workers' compensation space for 30 years, 23 years specifically with school districts. If I were to advise you and said, what is the absolute best financial outcome for the Helena School District? It would be move back to the MSGIA for 2 years, take full advantage of what my company can give you, all the financial benefits, all of the services, and at the same time, take all the financial benefits of getting the state fund dividend during those 2 years. It's going to be in excess of $125,000 easy in additional savings with option B. Option A, remember, is break even. You got to get the dividend just to get it to break even. So in your 2-year window, the best you've got is break even. Select the MSGA, come for 2 years, just try it. And at the end of 2 years, if you look at it and you're like, you know what, we just didn't get quite the service level that we were hoping, or maybe the renewal wasn't quite what we were expecting, cost went up dramatically, then you can move back. But at the end of the 2 years, what you're going to have is guaranteed at least $125,000 in hard savings, probably more, because over that 2-year window of time, my team, very good folks, and they've been doing this so long. They're so good at developing multi-plan, multi-part risk management programs for school districts because that's all we work with. So the last 10 years that Helena was with us, right before you left 9 years ago, that 10-year window, the experience modification factor was just a multiplier on your premium, was 0.74. Super good. It's 26% better than the average school district your same size. You were not higher than a 0.75, but 1 year in that 10-year window before you left the MSGA program. And since then, your losses have increased over 500%. Your experience modification factor is now well north of 1. And the difference, the spread or the delta between 0.74 and well north of 1 is additional premium of about $150,000. So again, in that 2-year window, if you just go with me on this and say, you know what, I'm willing to go for 2 years with the MSGI. If our team can make any kind of progress on moving you down back to where your MSGA average experience modification factor was, you're going to get big chunks of that $150,000 on top of the savings. And so it's significant. And I think it was just too inside baseball, if you will, because like I said, the selection committee, the RFP committee did yeoman's work. They really dug in deep. But there's probably no way that they would have known that the school district had the opportunity to take the state fund dividend and the financial benefits of the MSGA at the same time. And I would say to you, 2 years, it's worth the investment of time for 2 years, because at the end of 2 years, it's not a long-term contract. You can say, yeah, we're going to go out to bid, or we're going to see what our other options are, but it's worth the investment. And the MSGA is super, super good at this. So I would strongly advise the school board tonight to support moving back to the MSGI for at least 2 years. Take all of the financial benefits that you're due. They're almost guaranteed. And if they're not, let's say the state fund doesn't issue a dividend for the next 2 years, you still get the financial benefit of the more competitive MSGI proposal, which will generate that minimum savings that I'm talking about of $125,000. When I did the math in my head, penciled it out, pushed it out for those 2-year windows, it's a no-lose situation for the Helena School District. It's just so clean. And so I see great opportunity for you with this. And I don't see downside risk for you. I just see upside risk, which is awesome. Because any help that we can provide the school district, I want to do it, for all the right reasons. This is a good opportunity for you. And I really strongly appreciate you listening to me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Armstrong, or Trustee Armstrong. Wow. Everybody.
You're giving it up already.
Everyone's chairing this meeting
Like, I'm
tonight.
done.
I do have some questions, probably going to involve both Mr. Bubb and Mr. McKay. You mentioned Mr. Bubb, you mentioned the 125. Is that over 2 years or is that per year?
It's over 2 years. And so it's a floor, really. And so that just assumes something that's not going to happen, right? It's going to assume that the state fund is not going to issue a dividend in the fall. It's going to assume the state fund does not issue another dividend in the fall. The minimum savings for the district is that your choice over here is break even, right? That's the best you're going to do with a state fund, is that they issue a dividend and that closes the gap with the 64,000. But if you elected the MSGA and the state fund issued no dividend, you'd get the benefit of the lower premium for those years. And it's going to get bigger if they do issue a dividend, right? Or if you just look at the delta, so the difference between the two options. If the option with the state fund is they get a dividend, closes the gap, if you stay with them, if you're with the MSGA, you get that benefit and their dividend. So if you just took their dividend, let's say they gave two $90,000 dividends. In the fall, they give you a $90,000 dividend. The next fall, which is 2 years down the road, they give another 90. You get the 180, right? And you're with the MSGA, so you get the benefits of the program and that lower cost element. It's a huge winner for you. Because if you get the dividend, you stay with the fund, all it does is it closes the premium gap that we've already created because we have a more competitive proposal. It's a compounding effect.
How does, for someone not in this field, what is the state fund and what is Montana Schools Group interlocal
Yeah, so
authority?
great question. The state fund has been trying to redefine itself for 3 decades, but it's a quasi-governmental agency. And so it operates more closely like a mutual insurance company, but it's a state agency that is a guaranteed market for certain risks. It replaces the all risk pool. So they have to take any comers and they operate much like a private or a mutual insurance company would. The MSGI is a self-insured program that provides workers' compensation coverage specifically for K through 12 public school districts. In 1989, the state of Montana had a humongous workers' compensation crisis. There was over a $500 million deficit. There was all kinds of problems within the state fund. The legislature stepped in and said, okay, we are going to create some changes in the law. We are going to split out this block of liabilities and call it the old fund liability. We're going to put a tax on employees and employers until that liability is shored up, if you will. And then we're going to start a new company, the new fund, as they called it, but continue to operate and then just, changed essentially the way that they did business. But you've got a quasi-public entity that provides workers' compensation coverage, and you have a self-insured program that provides that same coverage. And again, the committee has looked deeply into the financials of both programs. Both programs have deep assets that far exceed the liabilities. Financial strength on either side is not in question at all. But structurally, that's the difference between the two.
Okay, thank you. My last question is probably for Mr. McKay. Asbestos was mentioned. Don't we do that in-house?
You got it.
Yeah. So in Mr. Bubb's just recent explanation, he did mention that asbestos is a benefit. We manage our asbestos program and are compliant with the 3-year state law on that management out of Todd's office. So then it's a service they provide. I think he stated $60-some thousand worth of service, but then it's service we really can't use because we maintain our own standard of operation in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Other board questions? Trustee Cletus. Bubs.
Mr. Bub? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my mind around everything you said, as this is really new to me, but
Good stuff. It really is good stuff.
well, I can tell you're committed and passionate. So yeah. Why did our district break with you guys 9 years ago?
Yeah, so that was an interesting time. So the RFP that was developed in a way that disallowed us as the incumbent carrier to submit a proposal to the district due to timing. So we rate our entire book together, and the RFP timeline was accelerated to the point where our actuary couldn't meet that. So we were unable to provide a proposal. And so the district moved to the state fund without the ability to see what your renewal proposal would have been from the MSGA. So that kind of gives you a very short synopsis on why the school district moved away from the MSGA. You never actually even got a chance to see what the renewal proposal would have looked like.
Okay, thanks. And so you said you have contracts with 6 of the 8 AA's?
That is correct. And 98% of the other public school districts in the state of Montana for workers' compensation.
And in addition to us, who's the other AA that you don't have a contract with?
Your close cousin to the south.
Okay. Oh. All right, thank you.
Butte's always an outlier, right?
Any other board questions? Patrick?
I too am very unfamiliar with this field of complicated information, but I guess I probably have a pretty, I don't know, obvious question, which is Mr. Bub, you said that the committee might not have been aware of this potential savings. So I'm just curious about how that would be. Why would they not be aware of that? And I guess I'm not sure, maybe it's a question for Josh as
I
well.
would go. with
Yeah.
Janelle.
It could,
So-
it could be, and Josh is welcome to come up. It
Yeah.
could just be that, they looked at the dividends that both companies provided and analyzed those on their face, not knowing that option B, like if the school district tonight selects the MSGA, comes for 2 years, takes all the financial benefits of the MSGA and the state fund dividend, they might not have known that you also will get that dividend even if you leave. Because like I said, that's a little bit of inside baseball. You just kind of have to know how all the programs work, and that's a benefit that you would afford yourself to and guarantee yourself some significant financial savings that I think the district needs.
Okay. Mr. McKay, would you like to also comment on that? Thank you.
With all due respect to Mr. Bub, our committee feels like we were completely aware of how all the numbers worked and transpire. And our recommendation is to go with Marsh McLennan State Fund. Couple things on the dividend. You don't continue to get dividends when you're not in business with someone eventually. Period. It will expire. It doesn't exist forever. So he's talking about a couple of years or however the transition would go. Their dividend opportunity is smaller and individually based. Period. The Marsh McLennan State Fund is a much larger insurance pool. It is more stable. Yes, they both met the minimum qualifications for our RFP process. One organization is much bigger, has much more reserves, all of those things. So we're completely aware of that and continue to recommend that we stay with that. You talked about a historical. I mean, in the last few years, we've had a really vibrant safety committee. We've had really strong return to work programming. We've gotten really good guidance and care for our workers' comp system and care for our employees. And so we want the best care for them. So I do feel like we are completely aware of what we're recommending and all of the numbers that it entail.
Just, can I clarify?
Yeah. Chair.
Trustee Athen.
So just to make it perfectly clear, Mr. McKay, the $125,000 savings that Mr. Bub alluded to, you feel like the committee did take that into consideration?
We feel like the dividend will continue with Marsh McLennan if we stay with them. And so then that's a renewable large pool. And so then what he's talking about is, because we're in business, it's like being paid in arrears in my mind when we talk about school funding and A and B, that your next year's money is based on the year before, that kind of stuff. And so then it'll eventually go away, but then that dividend opportunity won't be there if we go with a program that has a $25,000 maybe maximum dividend on individual loss. So, I mean, I felt like the committee is completely aware of those factors. And then we factored that in, looked at the subjective fit, looked at the part where we have, it was close enough that they're both solid agencies. They're both numbers are within range of each other, somewhat close. You could argue one over the other or the exact cost savings. But at the end of the day, we want to continue with, because of the subjective fit and where the numbers fall, continue with the incumbent that we have.
Thank you.
Trustee Armstrong, but maybe you don't go
I
anywhere.
just want to make sure I'm getting these various numbers in my head correctly. So the policy is cheaper with the MSGIA, more expensive with Marsh McLennan. We could see 125,000 in dividends over 2 years with MSGIA. If Marsh,
No. The 125,000 is the $63,000 to $425,000 difference, or the delta between the two. including the asbestos, I believe is we're wrapping in that $65,000 asbestos. So that's going to look like about $128,000, $125,000 savings. I believe that's what we're talking about.
Okay, so you're talking about the difference in
But
policy.
yeah,
But we have seen last year, so basically we've seen 94 and basically 100,000. So if Marsh McLennan's data is projected, we would probably see $200,000 over 2 years in terms of dividends.
If they
Am I-
stay stable in 2 years, yes.
Okay, I just
Yep.
want to make sure I'm
So that
comparing.
part of the money he was talking about is the money would come from Marsh McLennan and state funds dividend.
Oh, wait, don't go anywhere. I want to make sure. I think I have this figure in my head. So part of the dividend that we'd get from the state fund is for being a member for 6 months, and so you would enjoy the benefit. Do you know if it was prorated from the state fund, or you just get the same benefit as though you were a year-long member, even if you didn't pay in for a year?
I think the contract year is the year listed. So I don't know that exact answer.
Okay.
But I think so that might be somebody that needs to answer that. Somebody who knows that answer. I don't know that answer.
So it's adding up a couple of things. It's adding up the state fund dividend. It's adding up other potential savings from going with MSGIA. And did asbestos factor into that at all, or no? No.
Not for us, because it's like it's described as a benefit in numerical, but then we won't use it. So then it's not a benefit.
You're adding it. Okay.
And it's not like, we did ask, can we just have that cash?
Okay.
And the answer was no.
But Mr. McKay, you feel confident the committee looked at it from all the angles, and this is
We
the
do.
recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
I spoke with Ms. Mickelson this morning, and she also is confident that this is the route that's the reason why they sent me the recommendation.
That was,
You
yeah,
could still,
by all means.
So we're talking about the I'm not going to try to say that again. Are there other maybe benefits or things that were included that separated out one from the other, or were there similarities in all of the other aspects?
They're very similar. I mean, because they're both really strong agencies. So if we wanted to pick apart details of strengths and weaknesses, you can do that with any business proposal, but we're really trying to be kind and say that they're really close. The subjective fit, like on some individual rankings where we have a good thing going with what we are working on, that's subjective. Are we capable of working with new partners? Absolutely. And so then they're both really strong. So we
This is
didn't
a-
need to pick apart the
This
way
is a
that
1
they
year. And the only reason I asked because that was one thing that got
Yep.
called out. So I just didn't know if there were other things that
Right.
played
It-
into that. But we've had a good experience with them then so far.
Yep.
And this is a 1 year contract that we'll revisit again next year, or what's the length of the contract then?
Okay, so Janelle will have to answer that.
Oh,
So that it is a 1 year. Both companies have a option to 1 year and done. That didn't used to be the case back in the day too. And Mr. Rob was talking, they used to have a 3 year kind of a thing.
Right.
They've changed it to a 1 year. So those have been changes that would have been back to some of the past question you might have asked. But Ms. Mickelson, I think there's some details about years and length of time that we need your brain for.
It is a 1-year contract with an option to renew it up to 4 more years. So
that means that would we be revisiting next year, or would that be in a decision that your team would make to just move it forward with the 4?
yeah, it would be based on our experience with them and cost.
Okay, thank you.
did that make sense? Because I see some pondering over there. We good with that? Okay, all right. Yeah.
Like, this
Just want to make sure you're clear.
This is like Greek. I mean, can we take time to marinate and make this decision in the future? I mean, come on. Am I the only one here? Like,
Well, I mean, we had a motion and a second, so we're in the board comment.
Public
part-
comment.
Public,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
you
yeah,
have public
yeah, yeah.
comment
So,
still.
yeah, so is there any other public comment? It feels like maybe there is.
yeah.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Rody Holman. I serve as the program manager for the Montana Schools Property Liability Insurance Plan, as well as the liaison between the Helena School District and the Montana State Fund with respect to its work comp policy. So it's important that I get up and speak a little bit about this as well. First and foremost, I want to thank the Helena School District for the longstanding relationship that we've had. You heard a lot of I'll call it kabuki earlier, frankly, and that's frustrating from the dividends here and the dividends there. And the fact of the matter is that the Montana State Fund is the leading carrier in the Montana State Fund for workers' compensation throughout the state of Montana. It has 22,000 policyholders. It has a track record of delivering dividends to its insured policyholders over the course of 26 consecutive years. That dividend number is extremely important. It ranges from $25 to $43 million. Just over the last 2 years, the dividend that was declared and paid out to policyholders was $78 million. So I, again, want to thank you for the opportunity. I do have some people here too as well. Brandy Garber here is our assistant program manager on our pool. Shelby Brookie is our program coordinator. And then behind them, we have Sarah Roop, who is our underwriter with the Montana State Fund, as well as Will Anderson, who's the vice president of underwriting with the Montana State Fund. So they're here as well to answer any questions. I think it's important to take a look back at where we were 4 years ago. We went through this process 4 years ago. We went through it 10 years ago. And you had heard that the only proposal that the Helena School District was able to receive was one from us. There was no mention of trying to ask for an extension on deadline or anything to that nature. So I just want to make sure that the history is clear. Everybody had an opportunity to submit a proposal 10 years ago, and only one group did, and that was us. So that's just, I want to make sure that's clear. So then 4 years ago, we went through the same exercise, and I want to take a step back because it's important. The Helena School District went out to bid 4 years ago, and it received 2 proposals from 2 different groups, us and the competing agency. After careful deliberations back in 2021, the school district chose at that time to pick Payne West Insurance and the Montana State Fund for its workers' compensation program. It made the decision carefully, evaluating both options. And in spite of a cost difference, it decided to continue the relationship with Payne West and the Montana State Fund. We've since changed our name to Marsh McLennan. Though we were not the lowest cost provider back then, the district found value far beyond the cost difference and chose to stay with us and maintain that relationship. And we think that frankly holds true today. While we continue to roll up our sleeves every day and work hard for the district, and you've got evidence of that today, you've got the committee, and I have to tip my cap to the committee. They did a yeoman's job, and it sounds like it was very, very, very outstanding work. There have been some market changes in the 4 years. The Montana State Fund continues to evolve and innovate. For example, the state fund, it used to be a loss-sensitive dividend program. So you could be, and this happened with the Helena School District, they were cooking along just fine, and then all of a sudden they have a bad claim. With a large employer, claims do happen. They had a bad claim, and then it disrupted their opportunity for a dividend. So since that time, with the new leadership at the Montana State Fund, they've come in and they've changed gears, and they said, no, we're going to make this an all policyholder dividend. For that very reason, we don't want to have good insureds that are practicing good risk management, that are embracing good safety practices, and then have that apple cart upset with just one bad claim. So they've made the conscientious decision to go with an all policyholder dividend. As I mentioned earlier, that dividend has performed very well. And Helena has been the benefactor of the well-deserved benefactor of $260,000 in dividends just in the last 3 years. In talking with the Montana State Fund folks, they're plan is to continue with the all policyholder dividend as they move forward. They like it better, policyholders like it better, and you get rewarded for your good behaviors and you don't get penalized if you have the good behaviors, but you have that one bad claim. So that's important. Looking back, where were we 4 years ago? The Helena School District, with the work that Marsh McLennan and the Montana State Fund brings to bear from a loss control perspective. With that work, in conjunction with the Montana State Fund, the Helena School District was nominated for the Governor's Large Public Entity Safety Award. Because of all of the good work that we do together, we all roll up our sleeves and work together. You didn't just get nominated, you won the award. So congratulations. And I'd like to think that the Payne West or at Marsh McLennan and the Montana State Fund had a hand in that. Granted, the Helena School District did the heavy lifting, but we had a hand in that and helped you. So congratulations for that. So those are just a few things over the course of the past 4 years. So I guess I would leave you with this. The committee is comprised of competent, capable, conscientious, and very well qualified people. You have the committee's recommendation, you have the superintendent's recommendation. I would simply ask the board to act in unison, take that recommendation, and let's move forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or?
Yes, I have a couple of questions for Mr. McKay, if that's all right. Thank you. Mr. Holm mentioned that the MSGIA, or that their policy, the Montana State Fund policy, is no longer loss sensitive. Is that a difference between the Montana State Fund and MSGIA in terms of?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That one bullet there that talks about the $25,000 loss performance dividend is what that's referring to. And Marsh McLennan and State Fund is an all policyholder group-wide distribution of a dividend.
Excellent. So would it be the committee's opinion that the long-term financial benefit would probably be greater with Montana State Fund, not just looking at the next 2 years, but in terms of longer term?
We do think so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other public comment? Is there any comment online?
A lot of talk about the MSGA's dividend program without me being able to say what it is. So the core dividend program, we have two actually. And so the one that Mr. McKay has talked about is completely loss sensitive. It's called our safety reward program. And looking at districts have the opportunity, if they have a 20% loss ratio or better, which is really good, let's like Golden Child, to earn an extra 5%. So we looked at the premium that we quoted for the Helena School District and said, what would 5% of that be? $25,000. So that is the completely loss sensitive dividend. The underwriting credit, which is the upfront dividend, our core dividend program works very similar to the state fund. Our board of directors, which is made up of 9 board members, trustees, business managers, superintendents from around the state of Montana, look at our financial situation and say, okay, is our capital position adequate for the coming year and the coming years? If it's higher than adequate or above our actuarial determined ranges, it will elect to distribute funds back to our policyholders, to our school districts. That is not a loss sensitive dividend process. The amount of the funds that are sent back to the school districts is awarded for the next year of coverage. And you are awarded that based on your premium volume. And so it works essentially like a percentage basis. There's no loss sensitivity in that. And the state fund has been very consistent with their dividends. We've issued consistent dividends for the past 18 years as well. But the core product, that is generating that $63,000 benefit for our proposal is based on a non-loss sensitive distribution back to the district for your future participation in the next policy year. You could earn an additional $25,000, but that's not the core dividend. So sorry, that was a minute and a half, but I just needed to clarify that.
Thank you.
if I could, and I'm sorry, I'll be brief. I want the board to be also aware that by virtue of you being a member of this program, there is also a second potential dividend for the Safe Schools program that the Montana State Fund has started. So the dividend that you've received thus far has been a all policyholder dividend. The second potential dividend that you receive or could receive is through the Safe Schools program, which is a second dividend program. If that group performs well, then that group could also get a dividend, of which Helena School District is a member. It's important, since we're here talking about this stuff too. This program is on a guaranteed cost basis, period. The premium that's quoted is the premium you'll pay, period, as opposed to an accessible program. Our program is guaranteed cost. The competing program has an accessibility feature. So in the event their financial cart gets overturned or upset, they could conceivably come back to their members and say, we need more money. That is a risk I think public entities in the state of Montana ought not take. And for that reason, again, I would encourage your vote to approve. Thank you.
Trustee Armstrong.
Sorry, Mr. McKay, I just need to know, we've now brought up a couple other dividends. Were those other dividends factored into your decision?
The dividends on the sheet are the ones that we factored in.
Okay, so you did not factor in the non-loss sensitive dividend from MSGIA?
It's part of the 63. It's part of this delta of the
So
60.
it's already built in.
Yeah, that's why it's
and
low.
then
So it is factored.
when you receive these proposals, like frequently, it's like, I would say, buying car insurance. You get initial quote, then there's underwriting credits from both organizations, and then they start narrowing down. It's like, here's your big price, here's your deals. Not to mention that. And so then we summarized it down so that it could be put on one page, what we thought would be relevant numbers for the board to know on what we based our decisions on.
Okay, so it is factored in. It's
Yep.
just the Marsh McLennan comes in after the bid. I just want to make sure, with all these talk about the different things, probably looked at them. I just want to make sure you looked at them.
Yep. We have.
Okay.
It's
All right. That was a robust conversation. So we have is there any other public comment? Is there any board comment? Any other board comment? Okay. All right. We've got a motion. We've got a second, correct? I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of awarding workers' compensation contract as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much for everyone's time, including the committee. All right. Now we're on to the next item on the agenda, which is board or superintendent comments.
Mine's pretty brief.
Do you have?
Yeah, I think mine will be brief.
You don't have to. If you
Well,
don't want to.
I got some dental work, so I'm not able to talk a whole lot. But two things. I want to thank Katrina Cheney for being here tonight and being an advocate of public education as well throughout Lewis and Clark County. And then also would be remiss by not thanking Siobhan and your role over these years. I've worked with lots of board chairs, and I highly respect you and admire your work, your courageousness, and your dedication to students and staff of this district. And so thank you for your time. You're not leaving, I just
No.
out of the chair.
And you're welcome. And even though my terms have mostly included COVID and the most difficult financial situation we've been in decades, I'm still honored, and I tell my family I still have a good time in I guess that's just a little bit of a weird way, but it's a great group. So thank you.
Any other board comments?
So want to welcome our new
Mhm.
trustee. Buckle up. It's you do learn an awful lot. Outside of your area of expertise. I hope you find it as fulfilling as I think we've found it, despite the challenges. The mission for the next generation is certainly worth it. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, and I'm honored to be serving with you all.
I just wanted to give a follow-up. I did send out an email today, but perhaps you haven't seen it yet. On June 5th, which I know is short notice, MTSBA is having a board leadership conference or training during, I believe it's 8:30 to 4 is what I think. It's in your email just to confirm. But it's really recommended for all trustees, and in particular new trustees or maybe trustees that aren't quite as experienced as they want to be. I know that Superintendent Welch and I have also talked. We really kind of need to we would like to up the board training. So if that's a day that you have free, I would really recommend it. And then we'll be following up with most likely some more local training as well.
Thank you. I wanted to actually piggyback on what Superintendent Wells said. Siobhan, I served as your vice chair for two years, and they were immediate post-COVID, and it was immediate balance the budget, and there's no way to balance a school budget that doesn't affect kids and teachers. And every decision that we had to make was so difficult, and you're just weighing so many important things and trying to do the least amount of damage. And you led the district through, or the board through, that process in such a graceful and courageous way. And I really, really wanted to thank you for all of your wisdom and all of your leadership.
Thank you. And you're welcome. Welcome aboard.
All right, 6:48. I think we're adjourned.
Thank you.